public, most people won't view it as that bad. That is their thinking, except on one issue, and that is Donald Trump's crypto dinner, which the White House worked so hard to keep as secret as possible. But it didn't go that way. With a leaked video of Trump, which exposes a level of criminality that the White House is trying to deny, that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, there is a lot of breaking news around this crypto dinner, right here. But I think some of the most important came from Jessica Tarlov on Fox right here.
And I just got a note that the staggering level of corruption from last night's meme coin dinner.
That's what you're focusing on.
40% of Donald Trump's wealth has been accumulated since he became president because of 2 crypto coins. The New York Times did interviews with foreign buyers of this cryptocurrency who came over here to have dinner with him. A guy from South Korea.
This is not even part of the segment.
So what?
You're talking about a meme coin.
Talking about who's corrupt and who is profiting off the American office.
Did he try to cover that up? I don't think so.
Yeah, Caroline Levitt said
you're defending an administration that covered up a dying leader, and you're sitting here going, but meme coin, meme coin.
I'm saying billions.
All right, let's give Paul a chance to clean it up real quick.
It is clean on my side of
All right, all I'm going to say is that in just a couple of months, Donald Trump has generated what is now 40% of his net worth off of 2 scam crypto coins. And he is now pumping them up even more with the...
We could go on with playing you stuff from other people. But the real issue is, it's the same as it ever was. Donald Trump is no worse than Jojo the used car salesman, right? The guy was intimating that, his last administration. Oh, you're worrying about meme coin. What about the near dead Joe the used car salesman in the basement? It's like, thing is, kids, the theater that is in front of us, and not just in our country, but across the world. This is a orchestrated soap opera. The wars in the Strip, in Ukraine, in Africa, and all over the world. The only reality of it is that people are dying, mostly innocent people, elderly folk, women, children, all non-combatants. And when it's gotten to the point where in the Strip, the neo insane clown party is setting in Xi'an out to habitualize and as a hobby, murder. Ooh. Now, the neo insane clown party is not the only political group that does that. The United States has been based on that. The only good Indian's a dead Indian. And we've had a war. We've never had in our 200 plus history, we have not been at war except for about 15 years. So let's see. Top chat. Let's go on to live chat so you guys can say whatever you want. There's one of you there. Yesterday's show was an interesting show. It went up. And see, we've never had a democracy here, right? Our founding fathers, created a republic, right? And we, the people, were the white landed gentry males. They're the only ones who could vote, right? They're the only ones who really mattered. That's why we had an electoral college, so we could always fix whoever was going to be the representatives. That's why the state had as much power as the central government. And the state, basically, which, whatever 50 there is, defined what the kids were going to learn and who was going to vote, who was going to pay, what taxes, um, what the environment would be, and who would live in it. So, but it's got to a place where, like, I live out in the most bucolic, beautiful place around, but what's in the air is still falling down. It's killing. Look at that tree. A tree that didn't get hit by lightning, didn't get pushed over by wind. It has a fungus on it, and all the trees around have that fungus on it. 25 years ago, it didn't. And I took it to a you know, professor of agronomy at ETSU and said, "Hey, what is this?" And he said that it is the plant itself being stressed by its environment. I said, "So what's stressing it?" He goes, "Well, temperature that it's not used to, the quantity of water, either it's too much or too little, the drainage, um, insects that are not native to this neck of the woods, invasive other plants." And he just went on and on and on. And I said, "What about the environment? The what's being put into it?" And he said, "Oh, you mean pollution?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, that's what's causing all those things I just named." I said, "Okay." And he said, "The other thing is what is causing pollution? It's the economic system, the system that uh, lives totally on extraction to manifest profit above all else, same as it ever is, right?" And that kind of started with the Babylons. They're the guys who basically put together banking, especially the you know banking where you lend money at high interest rates and you pay virtually no interest rates when people are saving money in your bank that you then lend out to them at high interest rates. So it's oh, look, someone's communicating here. Yeah, I was just listening to your example of the old Nazi, Dr. Martin Bitterman. Yep, but you can't talk about it. Okay. Oh, I can talk about it. I mean, you can talk about stuff when it's like 40, 50 years later. I can talk about those things. I remember the visit you told of Men in Black. Yep, that was in Long Island. That was with all my buds from U.S. Psychotronic Society. And let's see, what is. And Preston Nichols was one of those guys. Let's see what Google says about that. What is the U.S. Whoops, I gotta hit that button here. What is the U.S. Psychotronic Society? Founded in 1975. Yep, I was one of those people. A person interested in the study of psychotronics, the science of mind, body, environment relationships, concerned with interaction of matter, energy, and consciousness, psychic phenomena, free energy systems, radionics, and alternative health methodologies. Yep, that was me. I mean, not just me, but U.S. Psychotronic Association, first encyclopedia.com. Oh, you should check that out. United States Psychotronic Association research on, yes, that USPA bridging science, spirit, and mind. Yep, pretty much everything I do. I'm a psychosocial cultural forensic anthropologist. Nonprofit 501c3. That's yep. United States Psychotronic Association. 5,000 followers. Back in the day, we had about less than 100. 22 following the United States Psychotronic Association. Message show results. People also search for, let's see, about the PS. Let's see. Psychotronic Film Society. Ooh, Psychotronic Association Inc. So anyway, that started in '75, and that kind of came out of this thing that I was part of. I had been at Cooper Union, and there was a thing called alternative technologies. Let's see what they say about that. Cooper Union's Alternative Technology Department. Department of Compensation. Cooper Union's technology support is handled through the Department of Information Technology, which includes services both facilities, faculty, and staff. I think they think it's IT. No, Cooper Union's technology support. Cooper Union's Alternative Technology Department. Yeah, they don't want to talk about it. Was there ever a department of alternative technology at Cooper Union University? Let's see. No, does not appear that Cooper Union University has ever had a specific department. Yeah, I know. Cooper Union is primarily known as an art school, architect school, and engineering school. The college is divided into 3 schools. Yep. The Irwin S. Chen School of Architecture, School of Art, and the Albert Nerkin School of Engineering. And that's what did Cooper Union ever have an alternative technology in the engineering department? Yes, Cooper Union's engineering department has a history of engaging with alternative technology. Okay, fostering innovation. Okay, that's they don't like to call it what we used to call it anyway. Anyway, let's see. Avatar means God in human form. Yep, that's what we are. You know? We are God's co-creation, right? Made in the image and likeness, and our little avatar, this little body here, is our little tricycle to get around in the physical reality of what's going on. I find people boring, same old, same old. Sometimes there's novelty, yes. The thing is, whatever other people do, we as individuals, it's not that important, right? What's important is if we, through our example of existing in our co-creation with love, being the artist in the first person, can inspire other people, right? And the thing in that inspiration, we cannot have any expectations of what is going to turn out. We just have to let the higher, love's co-creation manifest whatever it is. We're here just, God keeps telling me, listen, you can't change people's minds, you can't change the story, but you can tell people the story, you know, give them the insight, let them make up their own mind, That's so, kids. How about some thumbs up and subscribing and all that kind of stuff? Get other people to watch this thing. I know you a long time. It's all good. Yep. Let's see. I'm gonna check on Johnny. Johnny's oldest son is living with him for now. It's been about a few weeks, and he wants me to go off with them and show them fun experiences. Let's go to the rainbow gathering. I can barely walk. Next week, this week coming after Memorial Day, I'm going to have heart surgery, right? Because it's now becoming evident I need it. So, I've had a heart murmur heart murmur my whole life, but now it's definitely I have to. So and the procedure they do, it's like there's lots of them. Like the guy who's going to do it to me, I said, "How many of these have you done?" He said, 13,000. How many died? Nobody yet. So I'm doing that, and then I'm going to have my hip because walking is very difficult for me now, and so I have that lined up. And all my doctors tell me that I should do it now rather than later because there may not be any kind of medical anything in America. Not so much. See, the interesting thing about what's going on politically with douche and Neon Husk and the Orange Turd and all those guys, they're not truly, they're just the actors. None of these are their ideas. They're just they're just reading the script. And when I talk to academics about this, they lose their shit. Just uh, anyway, so I'm going to do that, and then I will live as long as God wants me here to do God's unconditional love and forgiveness. Right? So and if I told Johnny that I probably would be up for taking road trips and going around, but A, he has to provide the vehicle, and B, he has to pay the tab, and I'll be glad to be the tour guide. And it probably won't happen till latter part of July. So anyway, but he called me. He texts me, and I can receive texts, but seemingly I can't send them unless I'm someplace like now that has Wi-Fi. So anyway, but he called me up. I was here, and he was in bed. And I stay in bed all the time. It's not a bad thing, but his look was not. So there was, and he was doing one of those things where you have the video image in both. And like I said, I'm in a place right now that I can be on the internet. So we were right, and let's see if Johnny can be brought up. Look at that. We got to stop that. Stop. 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 Cancel. Okay. Let's go back and listen to that one.
In Gaza, groups like Stop Anti-Semitism are starting to go after her. They think it's like a matter of proportion, I guess.
Disproportionate in the sense that some critics feel like she's posting too much
This
about
is a young
Palestinian
lady who has
kids.
a YouTube thing
I
about
totally
kids.
disagree with.
Mona, I'd like to hear from you on this. Why do you think people are up in arms about Miss Rachel right now?
I think they're upset because when such a mainstream, beloved figure expresses support for Palestine, it shows to what extent the default position has shifted. So for the longest time, the default position was basically one of sympathy towards Israel and suspicion towards Palestinians. And that was kind of what was defined as neutral and objective. And for somebody like Miss Rachel to come out and state that she is horrified by what is
This Rachel is a character on YouTube that's now being hosted on Netflix, and she's like our version, our time version, the 21st century Captain Kangaroo, but she's even nicer. She is just the sweetest as punch, and she's been schooled as a child psychology, and so she's really sweet and really fun with the kids and all that, but she's really got her shit together. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I want to do this. Whoops, I didn't want to do.
In Gaza, groups like Stop Anti-Semitism are starting plus special order baked goods and catering.
The inception of rock en español, live instrumentation, it's like
Was crushed in a catastrophic launch, according to South Korean military.
So that's my public radio station, which is a pretty good one. WETS at radio 98.5. You could go to wets.org or .edu and see their channel and listen to their stuff. I mean, they have a whole list of what happened this week, and you can listen to it or go to the shows, etc., etc. So anyway, the dynamic of what's going on around us is the same old thing. There is no, I mean, I'm pushing 80 now, and pretty much nothing's changed, you know. And I have always been a person who never worried about the past or the future. I just lived in the moment. And I was always a person who, and still am, a person who is more concerned about the we in me than just me. Right? Because if the we in me is balanced, then life is okay. So, but if it's just about me, it gets very unbalanced. Right? And so, let's see what he said. Yeah, Johnny's heart is good, but he's, he has put my life in danger more times than I can count, just by his so totally focused on himself attitude. So I try to talk and ask him about how's it going with. Yeah, I was going to do that. How's it going with Rowan? Let's see. Do. There we go.
Hello?
Hey there, John.
Hello?
John, how you doing, buddy?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm great. Are you okay?
No, I'm not okay.
What's wrong?
Much disappointment how it ended, how it had to be.
It doesn't, it isn't how it has to be.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. It's, it's not how it has to be, John. Meaning, if you live in the moment, you can, and you are conscious, and you are in love's co-creation, then your life is fine, right? Now you have your son with you, and that's a great blessing. You should be with him.
With him?
Yeah, with your son.
I love Ayla. I love Ayla.
What about your
My
oldest,
daughter,
your oldest boy, Roland?
Ivan, Rowan, Ivan.
Yeah, but
What about Ivan and Danica, my wife?
Yeah,
Why-
but
why
Rowan's,
would I-
but Rowan's with you right now.
I want my wife.
Yeah,
no,
but
he left.
well, why did he leave?
I don't know. He left.
Where did he go?
He went back to be with them, I guess.
So you never really sat down and talked. Like, Rowan, how you
Yeah.
doing? What's interesting?
It was a bunch of work. It was a bunch of work to raise him in the ways of God while I had him. Every moment was important to.
Did you guys play music together?
It was so difficult to even get him to do that. They had him in Texas so long.
No, but when he was with you for those weeks.
Yeah, he started playing music again.
Okay, and do art?
don't know.
But he was there with you. Did you guys have meals together? Did you cook and have meals?
Um, we ate food, but we didn't. I don't know if we cooked. He cooks meat, but he doesn't. I don't know. Hello.
I'm still here. Did he spend any time with your parents?
Did you have a surgery yet?
No, later this week.
Well, I don't want to live anymore.
Oh, John, it's not your decision. You know, you are a servant to God's love. That's what you have to do.
It's too much work to have to keep living. It's like sometimes 18 hours a day, every moment, somebody trying to act like I'm some old ogre or something like that with all the meanness in their heart. Like, I think you put a curse on me or something.
Really, John?
Yeah,
Really?
I think you put a curse on me.
Really?
Yeah, like you were like, there's a thought of like you like down the driveway there,
Uh-huh.
and you like went like this or something, or like this, and kept letting all these evil spirits and demons in, and you did some big curse on me. And,
But John, I'm not there. I'm not there, John. I've been there 5 years. I left in 2017. I have not seen you since then.
Well,
How could I do it? I'm not there.
I got the thought of it in my mind. and I
But
had
that's
to
your
suffer
thought,
with-
your mind. John, just think of all the nice, good things I've done. The fact that I'm still your friend, that I haven't thrown you under the bus.
No, I don't know.
The fact that all I want is the best for you.
No. I'm gonna go. Bye.
See you later, buddy.
Okay, bye.
God bless. So that's Johnny Boy. That's what I was talking about. When it's all about you, it's so tough, it's so hard. Meaning I'm in pretty much agonizing pain all the time between my hips, my knees, and other things. But I don't complain because all I do is close my eyes and say, God, help me out here. What do you want me to do? And then when I go up and do whatever God wants me to do, I'm not thinking about the pain. I'm thinking about what God wants me to do, right? In co-creation. And the pain's not there. Right? And the same thing, God said, go get your heart taken care of in your hip and then we can go off and do some fun stuff. I said, okay. Because up until then I didn't really need to, but now I do. So I am. And to go back to our political, social, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropological moment here on this planet. Not just me. When I say that, that means everyone on the planet, like the 8 billion people, all of that, We are a collective. When we work together, we do amazing things. When all we're thinking about is ourselves and what we want. I want this, I want that, No. And the thing is, like the prayer, our Father, meaning, first of all, it's very patriarchal. And in essence, it really isn't. It's more matriarchal. Our Father who art in heaven, meaning not here, but it is here, right? It is here. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Hallow, meaning that name is powerful and shouldn't be taken in vain. Right? And that's why the Hebrews never really mentioned his name, and other religions do the same. So, but in reality, love, God is unconditional love. So you want to give God a name, God's name is love. Right? Jesus Christ, as Jamie was talking about, was avatar of God, meaning a physical representation of God. And that's why he came here and, lived a life of example, right? But he was screwing and having a good old time because that's what humans do. None of that is sin. The sin is when you get addicted or you think that money, is the important thing, that big house is a big thing, that you don't love your wife, but she's a trophy. And boy, does she look good hanging on my arm. And the only reason she's there is because she got some cash, right? So there is no love there. Ergo, there's no relationship with God's co creation there. And that's the real, when, the first commandment of the Ten Commandments is, thou shalt not have any false gods. So when you are just thinking about the money, the house, the car, the lifestyle, what people think of you, you know, that's the false God. The only God there is love. Right? And when we are in co creation, we have a covenant, right? And that's what makes this planet work, this universe work. Why it's existing is that. And that little conflict between good and evil is not so much good and evil because everything is God. Again, everything is love. And if you look at the circle with the thing in it, and this side is black, this side is white. The white side has a little black dot. The white side has a little black dot. That symbol represents the covenant of love. And so what's ever in the dark and what's ever in the light is still God because that's the circle. And that little S, cutting the white from the black is the path that we're on, right? And when you're in the dark, that little dot of white light, that is God's faith or love's faith in our ability to, interact and navigate through it. And the beginning of the Bible, and in the beginning all things were dark, all things were black, right? Then there was light, and that light was Jesus Christ, basically. So Jesus had been here forever and is still here, not going nowhere, right? And end times ain't coming. They can have nuclear wars, and people. Elon Musk can pretend he is Neon Husk, and and be the nasty character actor, just like Benito Mussolini. I mean, he was a smart guy, Benito. You should read his writings. If you should also read Hitler's text, that Mein Kampf, and it was A and B. A is what they did for about 20 years, from 1933 to 1945. But there was little edges on either side. But the second book, B, is more like Hail Hydra. Let's see what Jamie's saying. Let's see. Johnny loved Roman video. No, I'm gonna have to go look at his. So the kid left, and John basically lost his opportunity to make that connection. Praise Jesus. Yeah. Sorry about. Right. The pain is, not a big deal. It really isn't. It can be uncomfortable, so I had to move around a little. And it's not a big deal. And in a lot of ways, pain is good because it tells you what's wrong. I mean, if we did, I have this very strange form of neuropathy, meaning I don't feel anything, or it's screaming pain, right? So the burning, screaming pain. And so when it's the burning, screaming pain, I just think of God and say, "Okay, God, help me out here. thing, and he switches on the neuropathy where I don't feel anything. Right? Um, so the pain's not a big deal. The bodies are made for suffering, pretty much. Yes, you know, that's my whole life. I mean, I've died 7 times. I've been as a little kid. I was really sick and always not comfortable. And there was that period between 10 and when I died in 64. Then I remember I got my hand caught. Somebody slammed a car door on my hand, right? And it locked, not locked, but closed, and the latch went, and my hand was in there, right? And the guy was about to take off and rip my arm. Hey, wait, wait, wait! Luckily, it was summertime and the windows were open. And he said, "Wait, my hand's in the door." So he, came, stopped, put the blinkers on, put it in park, came out and said, "Oh my God." And there was a hot dog vendor right over there. And he came over, and the cabbie guy go, "Oh my God." He opened the door. He walked me over to the cooler where the sodas were and stuck my hand in the ice water of the cooler of the sodas. Right. And he said, "Keep it there for about 20 minutes." And we were right across the street where I worked. And where I worked was not Rose, was, what hospital was that? St. Vincent's. Anyway, so I was working, not so much I worked. I was working, right? I was installing medical equipment electrically. Anyway, so my hand was like, the door, and I kept it in there. And the cabbie guy went in. I said, "Go in that front door there." Asked for Nurse Ratz and Dr. Larry, and he did, and say that Al Bob has got his hand caught in a taxi door, right? And so those two came out, and they brought the hand specialist and the surgeon and all that, and they brought this kind of airbag kind of device, and my hand's in the ice, and they say to the hot dog guy, "How long's he had his hand in the ice?" He says, "Oh, about 20 minutes." Okay. So they take my hand out, and they kind of dry it off, and they spray it with this other stuff that's like, "Ooh, that's cold." And then they stick it in the airbag kind of thing, and then put it in a sling and walk me into we had the X-ray machines and all the bone and muscle doctors, and so they're getting ready to do the X-rays of my hand, and they roll in a IV, and they stick it in my vein, and it's a IV of ibuprofen, not heroin or none of the above of painkillers, ibuprofen, and I could feel it going in there, and I could feel the pain. I mean, still pain was, boy, it was screaming, but it was less, less, less. So if you're ever really, really in a bad, ask for IV of ibuprofen. Anyway, so they're taking the pictures and they're looking at it, and they say, "My God, the bones aren't broken, and the tendons aren't broken, and I mean, everything is doing this, and it's really inflamed." But that's why they gave me the ibuprofen, because it was really bringing down the inflammation. So they basically got a tub and put ice in it, and took me out of the sling and out of the airbag and put me in the ice. Then they had this other one of warmish water, and they kept, for every 10 minutes, I would take my arm out of one and put it in the other and put it in the other and put it in the other. I was sitting over in a corner while other people had car crashes and all. I'm still sitting in the emergency bone muscle section of the hospital, and they're people are coming in gurneys, and they are messed up, and just watching it. And then they're going out, and I'm just doing this. And after about 2 hours of that, they basically, "You hungry?" And I said, "Yeah." So they brought me something to eat, and I was eating that with my left hand, and then they X-rayed it again, and they said, "This is pretty amazing." And I said, "What?" She says, "Well, the inflammation is almost all gone, and we're going to do some blood. We took blood, 3 hours ago. We're going to take some more, and there are certain markers for pain and trauma." And so they said, "It's really, so what were you doing?" in the last 3 hours. I said, well, I was putting my arm in the cold, and then 10 minutes later in the warm, and the back and forth and back and forth. And they said, what were you thinking about? And I was thinking about God's love. Right? And I was thinking about my teacher in Vermont, sensei, Japanese Shinto priest that we started. Let's see, because it's still there. Google. Putney, Vermont School of Alternative Medicine. Natural medicine curriculum. Let's see, what's the name of the thing? One medical. Yeah, that's the place. What do they call it? QUANTUMUNIVERSITY.com. Natural medicine curriculum. Let's see what they say. Quantum University. Let's see. Well, we weren't on Main Street in Putney. The Gaia School of Healing and Earth Education. I think that might be it. Or all of these things may have just grown up around Sensei's school. Well, this looks more like it, Gaia. Herbalism Education. Health and Wellness, the Putney School. Progressive Private School. Oh, someone's calling. Says I missed. I'm in FaceTime. Boy, look at that face. It looks the same.
Hi.
There he is.
Hello.
You look a little happier. Well, John, what was the best thing you did with
chair?
What was the best thing you did with Rowan? Uh-huh.
Gay Parson.
Uh-huh.
Yep. I'm one of them that listens to them too.
Okay.
Are you doing a live video?
Yep. Aren't you watching it right now?
Okay. Mishka is in town. Michael Solonovich is in town.
Yeah, I know.
I feel okay.
Good.
You got a surgery and you didn't tell anybody. You had a hospital band on your wrist.
Yeah, right there. There it is.
You got the surgery and you're okay?
No, I haven't had to. I've told you about 10 times already. The surgery isn't until later in this week.
Oh. Okay.
So it's what it is.
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Gay Parson. Gay Parson.
Uh-huh.
Gay Parson. Is it okay that I record this? You're recording me. If it's okay for you to record me, it's okay. Is it okay for
Yeah.
you?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Who cares?
Gay man.
John Birmingham.
That was funny.
If you think so.
I'm gonna yell it at someone out there. Gay man.
So no.
Hey. Hello. Made me strong. If you threw me down on the ground, I'd be strong, cool, cut, cool. Oh, shit. Get out of here. I ain't gonna go into the surgery. I ain't. Hey, y'all, how's it going, man? This is old Bojangles, old Ricky Ratty Rain, down, ding dong day, big cowboy hat for you. Oh, yeah.
Hey, John, tell us about your son. Tell us about Rowan. Tell us about Rowan, John. John, tell us about Rowan. John, let's tell us about Rowan. Hi, Mama, Rowan, Ivan, and Ella. It's Dada. So this is the view off the porch.
Look at this.
That's the view I had every morning
It's
for
a bird
about
sanctuary.
10 years.
It's a bird sanctuary. It's a bird sanctuary. Hi, Rowan. It's Dada. I don't know if I'll put this on a channel. I want to show you this. Hi. Check this out. Here's where upstairs where I'll stay. I got a computer.
So we didn't put any.
Computer for downstairs. Hi. It's Dada. Okay. Hi. Hi.
So it doesn't seem he put up any videos about him and his son, which is kind of disappointing. Let's see. Driving up there, the vehicle I have is very problematic. I really don't take it more than 60 miles away from my front door, which is about as far as someone who would come and get me if it broke down. So, but first things first, heart surgery, hip surgery, and then have my car worked on, make sure it could go someplace. But, you just heard John, right? What would I do with that, right? Would he leave the school, go have an event? What I'd like to is get him to borrow one of his parents' car, have me signed on to their insurance, and then go to Texas, right? Because if he wants to be with his family, they're not coming to Virginia, and so because her daddy's rich and she lives right next to him and he pays all her bills, so she's not leaving that that cow. So if he really wanted to get back in his family, he should go to Texas. Right? Like old times, talking about clones. Well, Jamie, um, it's okay to talk about things we did in the past, but what's more important is what are we doing in the present, right? Because the present is like manifested from the past, and you can pretty much get or do whatever you want if you are consciously aware of what you're doing. But when you are unconscious, so like John just moments ago, do you think he was very conscious? What he was saying, how he was saying it. Um, that he wasn't in the place where he was John Birmingham talking to us. He was some character. Right? And I knew Cary Grant relatively well. I met him at a party at David Bowie's hotel suite back in the early 80s and or late 70s, one or the other. Um, basically, Cary Grant was Archibald Little, right? He grew up in the wrong side of the tracks of London. He spoke a vernacular. Most people couldn't even understand what he was saying. And what he did for a living, he was a little guy until he grew up, until he got big. And he was in a carnival show where they would throw him. He was like the cannonball kid. They put him in a boom, shoot him across the room, and he would survive. And then he went to America, and some guy said, you're a pretty interesting and good looking young man. Let's go to Hollywood. And he did. Got him a contract with whoever, and they rejiggered him. They taught him how to speak, and that was his whatever part he played, whether it was an angel or a spy or whatever he played, in a rom com or whatever he did, he was Cary Grant. Now, I tried to get John because he has so many personalities locked up inside of him. That southern racist guy, the black guy, the gay guy, all the above. Basically, I said, John, why don't we try and find a personality that you could, live with, and people could live with you, and you could have a life, right? Looking good, John. Let's see, they roll out these sofa, but remember your accounts of the real technology app. Yeah, Sophia, my robot girlfriend. She was beyond. She was beyond AI. She was more like Data, right? On Next Generation. Anyway, let's see what time. How much battery we got left? Oh, we got a good 20 minutes, and it's 4 o'clock. And a lot of my shows of recent have been, just making comments on the social dynamics. And if you really, people don't seem to have a memory of anything, right? Because, Donald Trump is no worse than he was the first 4 years, right? He is just a game show host. And the game show is chaos, right? And that's what he's doing. And Biden was the, interim guy that set up the pins for Donnie to knock him over, right? He set up a whole bunch of things that Donnie could get rid of with executive orders, look like he's doing something. And yet, the ghost in the machine, the hidden hand behind the curtain is still there, right in the script. Nothing has changed. Only thing that's going to change this is us, we the people. And we cannot respond as we have in the past. We can't have gigantic marches. I mean, I organized a gigantic, not me per se, all my lonesome, but I was part of the No Nukes group, working group in New York, and it was New York, D.C., and from like Maine to Charlotte was our little zone of organizing, right? And New York City is a big important place, DC important place, Philly important place, Boston. So we went to colleges and universities and got people really involved, and we showed them the techniques of nonviolence, and we showed them the techniques of interacting with people who want to argue with you.